So if we're looking at the respiratory system, we've got the larynx, which is the voice box, the trachea, which is the main windpipe, covered in cartilage rings to support the airways open. That divides into two bronchi. They divide into bronchioles, which end in the air sacs called alveoli. And the diaphragm is used to help us breathe in and out, inspiration, expiration. The heart isn't part of the respiratory system, but just to show how close the heart is to the lungs. The pleural fluid, which surrounds the lung, is to prevent friction. When you breathe in and out, it stops the alveoli from rubbing against the ribs. And that's surrounded by pleural membranes. And then you've got the ribs, and then you've got between those the intercostal muscle. So the respiratory system, you need to know the overview of the anatomy of the respiratory system, the structural adaptations of alveoli that allow gas exchange, squamous epithelium, surface area to volume ratio, surfactant, how the features of the airways protect the lungs from pathogens and pollutants like the mucous membrane, ciliated epithelium, mucus secreted by goblet cells, macrophages, the role of in ventilation of the diaphragm, rib cage, intercostal muscles, interpreting spirometry traces and identifying and defining lung volumes, calculations from spirometer traces or other data, breathing rates, respiratory minute volume, oxygen consumption, maximum flow rate, dead space in the airways where no gas exchange occurs, outline of factors contributing to the effects of disorders associated with the respiratory system, asthma, chronic bronchitis, emphysema, chronic obstruction, pulmonary disease or COPD, and pulmonary fibrosis. So, just a bit further from GCSE, you need to know that there are external intercostal muscles, which are on the outside of our body, and then the internal intercostal muscles are the ones closest to our sternum. So the pathway to the alveoli oxygen goes through the nose or mouth, into the trachea, into the bronchi, then into the bronchioles and into the alveoli, where oxygen diffuses into blood capillaries. The trachea is a large membranous tube reinforced by rings of cartilage extending from the larynx to the bronchial tubes and conveying air to and from the lungs. The bronchi is two short branches located at the lower end of the trachea that carry air into the lungs. Bronchioles are airways in the lungs that lead from the bronchi to the alveoli. There's rings of cartilage that help keep the trachea open for the passage of air. Ciliated epithelial cells are cells in the trachea which have microscopic hairs or cilia on them which waft mucus up and out of the airways that may have trapped bacteria in them. Goblet cells are a column-shaped cell found in the trachea which secretes mucus. Bronchial walls are composed of a relatively thick layer of smooth muscle called constrict and control airflow into the alveoli. So alveoli are small air sacs found at the ends of the bronchioles. The alveoli are made from epithelial cells that are one cell thick. Between the alveoli there are collagen and elastic tissues. The elastic tissue will stretch during inspiration and recoil during expiration to expel air. Features of alveoli that adapt them to gas exchange. They are numerous and highly folded, which means they have a large surface area for increased diffusion of gases. The alveoli wall is one cell thick, made of squamous epithelium. These cells are thin and flat, meaning they provide a short diffusion pathway for faster gas exchange. There's a vast network of blood capillaries. Circulation of the blood maintains a concentration gradient. The process of gas exchange at the alveoli, carbon dioxide diffuses from the blood plasma across the smooth endothelial wall, across the squamous epithelium into the alveolar airspace. Oxygen diffuses from the alveolar airspace across the squamous epithelium, across the smooth endothelium and into the red blood cells. The diffusion pathway is only 2 cells thick. It's very short. Structure adaptations of the alveoli for gas exchange. Squamous epithelium is thin. A single cell layer reduces the diffusion distance for gases. The surface area to volume ratio is increased because there's a large number of alveoli. The surfactant, which is fluid lining the alveoli, which reduces surface tension and